in the direction of the Jewish values we have long held so dear, and may her community of friends and family be present for her always, as we are at this very moment. And together we say, Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Mazel tov. Sean, you can go ahead and close the art. You may be seated as we invite the Leonard family to stay up here with us just another minute. Your work is not done. By the candles. There you go. There's a lot of rehearsing and choreography for the weekend. The Leonard family will honor us by lighting the Shabbat candles, and we can join them on pages 2 and 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Did you turn it on, Bethany?
Just let it stay there. Don't move it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק של השבת.
Thank you, Leonard family. We continue with some words of Psalms, which you can find in your service handout, Lechuna Ranina.
Lay, 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 la, la. Yay, lay, 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 lay. 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 Lechune ranena. Lay, 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 lay. L'Adonai. Yay, lay, 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 lay. Nahariya. Lay, 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 lay. Letzur yishenu. Lay, 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 lay. Let us sing unto God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear our song. Lechune ranina. Lay, 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 lay. L'Adonai. Lay, 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 lay. wonders and all of God's might, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. Lechu neranena, lai 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 lai, Adonai, lai 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 lai, Nahariya, lai 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 lai, Letzur Hishenu, lai 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 lai.
We turn to page 20 back in our prayer books to welcome Shabbat again with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha lecha dodi, lecha lecha kala, merei penei Shabbat lecha bela. Lecha lecha dodi, lecha lecha kala, merei penei Shabbat lecha bela la la. Lecha lecha dodi, lecha lecha kala, merei penei Shabbat lecha bela. Lecha lecha dodi, lecha lecha kala, merei penei Shabbat lecha bela. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם אותי ורק בלבכי, לה 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 לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה.
Likrat Shabbat lechuven elcha, ki hi mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tefila la 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 la.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Hi toreri, kiva orech kumi uri, uri uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich mitla la 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 la.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We rise in body or spirit and face the door to welcome Shabbat.
Shabbat nekabela. Bo'י ושלום, עטרת בלה, גם שמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה בואי Dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela la la. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala, pnei pnei Shabbat nekabela.
We remain standing as we continue with the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer on page 28.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaMorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Hu et
Page 30, we read together in the English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the season, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated as we continue on page 36.
Ve'ahavta
Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 41. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. Together, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Our song of freedom is on page 40.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nor atihilot or sefer, mi chamocha b'elim Adonai.
Page 43.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Bishalom. Behamidenu, Shomreinu L'chaim. Ufros Aleinu, Zirkat Shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'shalom. Hashkivenu and understanding us. Hashkivenu peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Page 44. We continue our joyous celebration of Shabbat with Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. B'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Umayom hashvi Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam.
It is our pleasure now to call up Juliet, our bat mitzvah, to lead us in the Amidah. And we invite you all to rise in body or spirit and join her beginning on page 46.
Adonai sifatati taf uvi agita hilateha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagidor Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zoher Hastei Avot V'imahu Umevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava Mele Oser Umoshia Umagen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mehaye HaKol Atarav Lehoshia Morid Hatah Mechaykel Hayim Behesed Mehaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Nothim Verofei Holim Umatir Asurim Umakayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Mi Hamocha Ba'Gevero Umidomela Melech Memid Umekaye Umatzmiya Yeshua Veneman Atal Hayot Hako Baruch Atah Adonai Mehaye HaKol.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated and turn to page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wander beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us, so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimha ulha na'e lehadot.
Thanks, Juliet. We continue now with a moment of our own personal prayers. Page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Lechol HaShalom Ki Ata Hu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom Lechol HaShalom Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Tasim Leolam V'tov b'necha levarich et amcha Yisrael et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל השעה בשלומך בשלומך Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Tasim Leolam Leolam Leolam
As we celebrate joy the Shabbat and we continue to pray for peace, we also pray for healing for our loved ones, those in our communities, and those around the world with the words of Misha Berach as we continue on page 253. This Shabbat, our temple is praying for Carol Babcock, Howard Sherwin, Pauline Sherwin, Ann DePaul, Susan Derby, Helene Edwards, Muriel Fields, Beverly Fruit, Rabbi Bob Goodman, Marilyn Goodman, Jesse Halpern, Mary Hartman, Janice Hayflick, Kimberly Janis, Robert Kay, Dan Cartman, Mike Miller, Barry Newman, Donald Noel, Sandy Olesker, David Osofsky, Laura Osofsky, Bert Peters, Buddy Pollock, Ron Papel, Jean Posen, Sean Quinlan, Ron Rappaport, Randall Rout, Sandra Reznikoff, Arnold Richmond, Toby Ringel, Devora Bat-Rachel, Michelle Jurgen Rosenthal, Jacob Schreiber, Adele Shamban, Sid Siegel, Ruthie Silver, Nicholas Sobek, Brady Spector, Ann Stone, Judy Van Gorder. If there are names of your own loved ones you'd like to add to this list for healing of the body, mind, or spirit, please do so as I look around the room. Jody. Thank you. David.
Charles Stella, Dr. Kinney, John Mitchell, Ida Haywood, Brandon Dorothy White, Sam Zucker, Susan Pocchio, Fran Young, Larry Reed, Mary Lou Goya, and Ray Howard.
For the names we've said aloud and those we hold in our hearts, we continue with our prayer for healing.
Nisheberach Avotenu Mikol Havrah Limortenu. May the source of strength will bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Nisheberach Imotenu Mikol Havrah Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Amen. Imagine this. You're an amateur athlete, let's say a baseball player. You win some awards during high school, and then you attend college for your sport. You're selected with a decent number in the professional draft. Over the course of only about 2 years, you make your way from the lowest minor league team up through the ranks. You start the newest season at a decent level, and then just a few weeks before, were promoted to the AAA team right underneath the major league. Suddenly, there are some injuries on the team, and you're called up to make your debut in the big leagues with only a few hours' notice. Your family flies out to see you, and the fans cheer you on. What happens as you step up to the plate? What if? It is likely you will strike out. You're young, and not only is it your first game in the major leagues, you've been quickly accelerated through the minor leagues and have arrived at your at-bat with very little notice. No one would blame you if you don't perform well, and it will still be a fantastic experience. But what if? There are many ways this could go. Though the odds are against you, there is still room for possibility. This week's Torah portion, Akev, reminds us that there are many ifs and what ifs in our lives. The word Akev itself is Hebrew for heel. However, its placement here at the beginning of Deuteronomy refers to an obscure expression that has not been used for centuries. The first 3 words of the portion, V'haya Akev Tishmiun, are generally translated as, therefore, if it comes to pass. In effect, this means that the whole parsha, the whole portion, is based on a conditional, not on fact, but on possibility. What if? The Torah presents us with a straightforward formula. If the Israelites follow God's laws, they will thrive. If they don't, horrible things will happen to them. God has accompanied them this far, bringing them out of slavery across the Red Sea and through the desert for just about 40 years. They are about to enter the promised land, and many possibilities await them. The future is in their hands. Once they are out of the wilderness, not needing God to guide them through unknown locations, once they are settled in their own land with their own abilities to produce food and gain wealth, will they even remember God? They are no longer relying on God to tell them where to go and what to do, but that also means they are responsible for their actions and the resulting consequences. This Torah portion, this reminder that they will be making their own decisions, is both empowering and humbling. Every person is accountable, and the life of the community will depend on individual decisions, individual responses to the question of what if. The famous commentator and scholar Maimonides wrote that the whole purpose of the Torah is to put human desires and creativity into human hands. Freedom of choice is given to us. The Torah helps direct our choices. It encourages us to realize that we make mistakes. Stubbornness and selfishness often overwhelm our best intentions and confuse us. Maimonides notes that in this Torah portion, Moses understood this, which is why he continues to warn the Israelites that they would sink into self-centered obstinacy. They would forget about God and abandon the Torah and the commandments which God gave them multiple times. Therefore, Moses warns them, in making decisions, keep your hearts open to the teachings of Torah, to the anguish of others, to the mistakes you will make and the need to rectify them. In other words, keep your hearts open to the what-ifs, knowing that you will not be perfect. What if I forget something I learned from God? What if I hurt someone? What if I make a mistake? Maimonides and Moses suggest that the Torah can be a guidepost in these moments of uncertainty and possibility. The Israelites will certainly not be perfect, but as long as they are open to the rules and the guidelines they receive from God and are willing to follow them, they will be rewarded. While the concept of our own choices and actions that have consequences are familiar to us, this depiction of the Israelites' relationship with God is tougher to wrap our heads around. It would be nice if we could follow a specific set of rules or guidelines and know that we would be rewarded for doing so. The idea of the conditional, if you do X, then Y will happen, is simple and comforting. But we know that life is not that simple. We live in a world of constant what-ifs, many of which are beyond our control. Even when we are empowered to make the right decisions in the moment, even if we live as good and ethical people, there is no guarantee that good will automatically follow. We could be that young baseball player, practicing for hours, honing our skills, and still not know what will happen when we step up to the plate. No matter what, outcomes are uncertain. Rabbi Audrey Korotkin writes, "We have trouble praying what we do not believe, and our experience of everyday life tells us not to believe Deuteronomy's theology. The natural devastation plaguing us today, when flash fires destroy whole towns and the world is swallowed by plague, may well be, as Rabbi Harold Kushner once wrote, an inevitable consequence of living in a world with inflexible natural laws. But our response to them, and to the destruction caused by humanity in senseless violence and deadly war, is not fixed. It is not," she says, "inevitable." While we do not have the luxury our ancestors did of living out the straightforward, if X, then Y conditional, we do have some ability to respond to all the questions in our lives. Nothing is inevitable. For example, this coming Tuesday, August 23rd, is our Florida state primary election. Each candidate has their own perspectives and ways to address the uncertainties in our lives. By showing up at the polls, we can play a small but important part in influencing the future. Our individual decision to exercise our right to vote impacts the community as a whole. Next Sunday begins the Jewish month of Elul, the weeks of reflection leading up to the holiest days in our calendar. During this time of year, we are especially instructed to, as Moses tells the Israelites, keep our hearts open to the teaching of Torah, to the anguish of others, to the mistakes we will make and the need to rectify them. We ponder who we've been and who we want to be. So what if we approach this sacred time in our calendar leading up to the new year with a curious mindset, asking ourselves, what if? What if I'd handled that situation another way? What if I try to have more patience for my loved one when she annoys me? What if I try something new when I'm frustrated? Though much is out of our control, I invite us all to be open to opportunity and to the many possibilities that can exist when we lean into the what if. Back to the story of the baseball player, whose talent and hard work, along with random circumstance, suddenly accelerated him from the minor leagues to the majors. His name is Brett Beatty, and his first at-bat for the New York Mets, when the story takes place, was just 2 nights ago. Most said he was not quite ready to join the team due to lack of experience, but 2 different players got injured the day before, and so they needed Brett to play. He stepped up to the plate for his first time ever in a big league game with just a few hours' notice. 1 pitch went by. As the second pitch came, he swung. The ball went out of the park for a home run. And because of that home run, the Mets won the game. Thank you all for indulging my Mets fandom. Though we live in a chaotic and unpredictable world, there is always potential for wonderful things to happen, for the home runs to happen despite the odds. When we have the strength to be open to where life can take us, and remember that very little is actually inevitable. Even when the odds are against us, as this week's Torah portion reminds us, there is always room to wonder what could happen, to do the best we can in any given moment, and to ponder, what if? Our service continues with Aleinu in the middle of page 282. I invite us all to rise as we open the ark.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא שמו קודמי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחת אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated.
Page 293. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This Shabbat, our congregation observes the yahrzeit of Dr. James L. App, Jules Ballenberg, Rosalind Friedman Bashik, Michelle Brenner, Seymour Brody, Daniel Cherwin, Leopold C. Coleman Jr., Robert Cooper, Ben Dinnerstein, Lilo Frisch, Sonia Hecht, Martha Isaac, Rhoda Israel, Libby Jaffe, Perry Cantor, Rosalie Ketsky, Esther Corman, Isidore Levinson, Eugene S. Perlman, Leon Podhorzer-Block, Louis Portnoy, Annie Rachelson, Jean Schwab, Mary Shane Brown, Michael E. Schomer, William Bill Schumer, Philip Spector, Bertha Spiritas, Abe Sugarman, Sidney Walchuk, Samuel William Wolfson, H. Fred Young. And if you have a name to add to our list that's Shabbat of someone you are thinking of this Shabbat, please go ahead and share that name with us now. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. For all of those whom we named aloud, and those we hold in our hearts today and always, we rise together as a community to extol God's name through the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon uv'yomei chon, uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach la'alam ul'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei dukudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromal. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Please be seated as we invite back up the Leonard family, so everyone but you guys, to join us for Kiddush and Motzi. You can find Kiddush on page 5.
We're all going to sing together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam morei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho me'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikrahei kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uv'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. Amen.
L'chaim, you can
L'chaim,
take
go
a
ahead.
little sip. It's safe. Is it real? And yep, Sean, you can grab the challah as we all join in Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. You can break off. Yep, take the whole thing with you. The
I
challah
told
is
him he
now
could take
Sean's.
it and bring it and share. Sean, take it with you. Your friends behind you need
friends
some.
behind
Looks like you
Go
had a lot
ahead.
of family who would like some of that. As Sean shares his challah, you can have a seat, and we invite up Michael Kaur, a member of our Board of Trustees, to share some announcements.
I don't know how I top that act. Shabbat Shalom. My name is Michael Kaur, and on behalf of our Board of Trustees, we welcome you to Congregation Ahavat Chesed. Mazel Tov to the Leonard family on Juliet becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., and thank you for sponsoring our Oneg tonight. Other temple events happening this week are Torah study led by Rabbi Glasser. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Wisdom led by Brad Ramirez, where he will discuss the Sephardic experience on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m., and Professor Gunther Yakeli's presentation on the return of radical anti-Semitism on Wednesday at 7 p.m. We are also very excited that the opening day of TIR, our Temple's religious school, is on Sunday at 9 a.m. Students and their families are invited to join us and participate in a full schedule of activities. Make sure to read your emails for information regarding TIR and our Shabbat Shirenu next Friday, as well as the deadlines for your Shana Tova greetings and Yizkor book submissions. Please continue to bring school supply donations for Cedar Hills Elementary to Temple until the end of August. And we would like to extend a special welcome to our first-time visitor, Patrice Cohen. We are happy that you could join us tonight. Our oneg tonight will be in the social hall, which you can find by turning left out of the sanctuary. If you would like to speak with our clergy after services, we ask that you please meet them at the oneg. And speaking of our clergy, we certainly welcome back Rabbi from her vacation. And, you know, it's amazing when we have just cantor, it's wonderful. When we have just Rabbi, it's sincerely wonderful. Together, my goodness gracious. Shabbat Shalom.
Well, Michael, on that note, would you like to stay with us for our closing song? Because Michael also is wonderful up here on the bima, so the more the merrier. We're going to conclude our service tonight with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
See, what I didn't know is that, yes, tomorrow is your birthday. And tomorrow's my birthday. Tomorrow's your birthday? Tomorrow's my birthday.
I wish you had told me that.
Well, that's why I did tell you.
Sneaky. I'll see you tomorrow.